Welcome to Wargamer Shut Up and Jam, where we talk about stuff. Today we're going to talk about why play with scenarios and our history with it. I think we're going to start with the history first, though, because that's really impacted where we're going. So when we first started playing Warmachine, I don't think we played a single scenario game for the first couple of years, for sure. In fact, I've only played a couple of scenario games, and I don't think any of them were with you either. So all of our games have really been, between each other anyway, have been killing each other, kill the Warcaster, and, punch this guy, it's Miller time. But to Warmachine's credit, the game has been interesting, and it's been enjoyable throughout all of that, even though we weren't actually playing with any real objectives. So the nice thing about scenarios is that it adds a dimension to the game. It adds something that allows us to, even just playing the same armies over and over again, we have different experiences with it because different scenarios shape what you can do with your army. But yeah, so what do you think?
I don't think anyone starts the game playing with scenarios other than Caster Kill. It's a relatively complicated game as it is, and learning the basics and the omnipresent victory condition of kill your caster is important. It helps to get a good feel of your faction's capabilities, kind of your nemesis's capabilities, fucking Legion, and things like that. I haven't played scenario anywhere near as much as I would have liked to. I've been on something of an undesired break from the game just because stuff happened and I haven't been playing enough. But now that I'm getting back into it, I'm very eager to play with almost entirely scenario games.
Yeah.
I don't foresee myself playing more than maybe a couple of non-scenario games, other than to teach new people how to play.
Well, I don't think you need to play non-scenario games anymore. I mean, because that condition of being able to kill the Warcaster or Warlock is always there.
Yeah,
anyway.
it's always there.
I mean, if one person just wants to do that, they can just try that.
Absolutely.
And sometimes that'll be the best option for them. But I just think that, scenarios are going to add that extra dimension that makes it more enjoyable, and it'll make us have to think about the game a little bit differently, rather than just like, okay, do I just take Mullet Karn and fire him up the board and hope he kills the caster, and if not, okay, I lose, well, whatever. Like, the game doesn't have to break down quite so simply. It can.
Right.
And that can be awesome, but at the same time, it's nice to be able to do more than that.
Well, yeah, I mean, if we want to get deeper into the importance of scenarios, the interesting part is that assassination being a factor is very important still in scenario play, as you mentioned. So the reason in my mind, to play scenarios is to more or less force you to play by page 5. Scenarios create points on the board that you have to fight over, or your opponent will eventually win on control points.
That's true.
If you don't fight over them, then you'll lose. So you can't use sort of runaway tactics, and even attrition-style matches need to be played with, proper piece trading, proper positioning, stuff like that. Whereas if you're playing without scenario, the first player to take out an enemy heavy or kill an important unit can then just spend the rest of the game backing away and forcing the opponent to come to them because they're on an advantage.
That's true.
If you're playing scenario, you can't do that because then the opponent will still win on control points.
Well, I think most of the scenario objectives across basically all of the scenarios are more towards the center of the board anyway. So
Absolutely.
It kind of forces everybody to move towards that.
Absolutely.
Well, I mean, also, if you think about it, in real war, in real life, it's not just go and kill the enemy general. There's
absolutely
you have to take out supply depots. You have to control resources. You have to manage the land and manage the battlefield. It's not just about killing.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, it adds an element of realism and theming to the game. In addition, it's always important that Caster Kill is still a factor, though. Because otherwise, if the game becomes too much about the objectives, it can get into a bogged down sort of a slugfest that some people might enjoy, but occasionally might just become really, really difficult. And in Warmachine, Warmachine Hordes, one of the best aspects of the game is that even if you're behind, even if you're about to lose on scenario, if you have the ability to just go in and shove a greatsword up your opponent's Warhound's butt, yeah, you can still win the game. You can come back from almost anything in Warmachine, which I find keeps the game exciting and engaging even to the later stages, as long as you don't make some horribly crippling mistake on like turn 2 and lose the game.
No, that is a really good point, because I remember the very first game that I'd ever played. I played, actually it was a Legion Battle Box against the Circle Battle Box. It wasn't against you, it was against some other guy. I wish I could remember who that was. I have no idea. And what had happened is, like, the first turn, he like rushes the Warp Wolf over, and he blows up my Carnivian. And I'm just like shattered. I'm like, my big dude, it's gone. Whoa, right? Like, what do I do? And then I've got my 4 Shredders and my Warcaster. And I'm like, okay, you know what? Let's just try and blow up Kaya. And blew her up we did.
Yep.
So, because he moved way too far forward, he totally just jammed right up the middle there. Even though I lost that huge piece. I mean, we're playing an 11-point game and I lost an 11-point model.
Yeah.
Okay, well, more or less.
The stakes of a brash young rookie.
And at first I thought it was just like terrible, but when I killed him, when I won that game, understanding that losing what I thought were super important pieces isn't the end of the world.
Right.
It really changed my opinion of the game actually considerably, because then I'm like, wow. So we always have this option. There's always an out. And
so it's a good experience to start from.
Well, for sure. And no matter how terrible the situation looks, there's
never give up.
There's almost, well, exactly, don't give up. You always have that chance that it can work out.
Now, okay, there is a limit to that. I mean, when you're playing against a player who's much better than you, he's not likely to make a mistake. Other than that one time that I was playing against a player who was much, much better than me, still is much, much better than me, and he killed every model in my army except for my Warlock and her companion. This is Epic Kaya and Laris. He decided to style on me by charging me with his Warcaster, failed to kill me, and then ate a pike to the face next turn. I'm not going to name names here. You're way better than me. But I beat you that one time.
Yeah, I did it, Mike. Congratulations.
But that's the thing. Like, those experiences have shaped my opinion of the game. It's the reason why I enjoy the game so much, because you don't ever feel like totally screwed. In other games that I've played, by turn 2, often, one person's basically decimated the other person's half of a force, and you're like, okay, well, now we don't have the ability to deal with what you have left.
Right.
And in this game, that's not the concern. The concern is like, okay, well, now what do I have, and what can I make with this?
Again, generally speaking.
Generally speaking. I mean, there are some situations that are unrecoverable, but like, I would say for 98% of the games that I've played,
maybe a little bit less than 98%.
If I'm making up statistics, I can say whatever I want.
It's true. 112% of the games I've played are bullshit, and I shouldn't have lost them.
Exactly. Well, you lose a lot of games.
I do.
I win too many for how much I used to complain. Oh my god.
Well, and the same thing is true with situations where you make that attack, or you go for it, and you think you're in a really good spot, and it doesn't work out. Like probably the best example I have for that was,
is it the Kruger one?
Yeah.
Yeah. That actually was really hilarious and stupid for a few reasons, because we got the rules wrong.
Did we?
We did, because I was in reach. I couldn't make range attacks. We both had reach. We were both engaged. But anyway, there was one game I was playing against Steve where I wanted to kill his Warcaster, and I flew my Warlock Kruger, I believe it was P. Kruger, the Storm Wrath, the first incarnation, flew him over a rock, and then attempted to lightning bolt assassinate. Yeah. I think it was actually your caster that I was trying to kill.
You were trying to kill my caster.
And it turns out that I actually wasn't in. I was in reach. Melee range. I was engaged, so I couldn't make range attacks. So I tried to cast telekinesis to get you the fuck out of the way, and it didn't work. I missed on, I forget what I even needed. I probably needed like 6 or something.
Probably 5.
I might have even boosted, and I missed and I failed, and then I was completely open to being destroyed the following turn.
That was you tried to cast that on the Shepherd, right?
Yeah.
So you can cast into melee, like if you're in melee.
Yeah, you can cast spells provided. You can cast into melee regardless. If you are engaged with something, you don't suffer any penalty to
But
it.
you can't cast out of melee, like from inside of melee.
Absolutely.
So then how come you could...
You can't use ranged attacks when you're in melee. I was trying to use Kruger's Lightning Strike ranged attack
All right, okay.
on you.
So yeah, that worked out really well in my favor, and I still enjoy that memory there. But yeah, ultimately, the thing is, had we been playing with scenarios, it would have been a totally different game.
True.
And he wouldn't have necessarily had to go for that assassination run, and
Maybe not.
then we wouldn't have that hilarious thing that happened.
I might still have gone for it because I like to kill people.
That's fair.
Kill Warcasters and Warlocks. And also Steve's infantry. Although I would argue that those aren't very much people.
It's fair.
Fuck you.
You know, I'd like to try the new Legion infantry beast things, the bees with, or the dogs with bees in their mouth, or whatever it is.
No,
they're just bees.
It's okay. I was gonna say, if you guys have dogs with bees in their mouths, we're all doomed.
The Blade Wasps don't impress me that much, but yeah.
I think they're pretty cool. Like, if you swarm something, it's dead.
That should be the next cater unit, just a unit of war dogs with bees in their mouths.
Yeah, that's what they need.
Isn't that basically Butcher, except the bees are just death?
Anyway, thanks for watching. That's basically why we think we should be playing scenarios, and that's going to lead into our Steamroller 2015 breakdown. So that should be up next. What is that?
I don't know. I was doing a thing.
Every time you come up with a new thing, and it's weird.
So?
Alright, fair.
Well, I just snapped my fingers and made a popping noise. Yeah, no, not really.
Jazz hands. You can be the jazz. What is that? Imagination.